The warning. The ancient chamber of the Galactic Federation Council fell silent as the holographic transmission stabilized. Even the most seasoned counselors straightened in their seats. A message from the Meridian Elders was unprecedented. The last time they had addressed the Federation was over 3 centuries ago. High Counselor Vexaran, her crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the blue light of the chamber, raised a segmented limb for attention. This transmission bears the highest encryption protocol. Whatever the Elders wish to communicate, they consider it of grave importance. The hologram flickered, revealing Elder Zixus, oldest of the Meridian Collective. His translucent skin stretched over a frame that had witnessed millennia of galactic history. The bioluminescent patterns across his body pulsed with agitation. "Esteemed Council," Elder Zixus began, his voice carrying the weight of countless years, "I break our long silence to bring warning of a discovery our deep space monitors have made. A species has emerged on the galactic fringe, on a small blue world they call Earth. They named themselves humans." Several counselors exchanged skeptical glances. Another primitive species finding its way to the stars was hardly cause for the Elders to emerge from their self-imposed isolation. "These humans," Zixus continued, "are unlike any species we have encountered in our recorded history. Their advancement from primitive tool use to rudimentary space travel occurred in less than 10,000 solar cycles of their world. More concerning, they achieved nuclear technology before developing global unity. They have survived multiple self-inflicted extinction events that would have destroyed any other known species." Data streams began flowing alongside the Elder's image. Charts, physiological scans, historical records intercepted from Earth's broadcasts. Their biological structure appears unremarkable, observed Counselor Thrix, the Soran representative, his scaled tail flicking with dismissal. "No natural armor, minimal strength by our standards, limited sensory capabilities. What threat could such beings pose?" Elder Zixus' expression darkened. "It is not their physical form that concerns us, but what lies within. Their neural patterns exhibit contradictions we previously believed incompatible in sentient life. They are simultaneously collective and individualistic, emotional and logical, destructive yet nurturing." The Elder leaned forward, his bioluminescence pulsing faster. "Most concerning is their psychological resilience. When faced with catastrophe, most species retreat. Humans advance. When confronted with the impossible, they refuse to accept it. The statistical models of our most advanced prediction engines cannot anticipate their behavior." High Counselor Vexaran's antennae quivered. "What action do you recommend, Elder?" "Observation. Careful, distant observation. Under no circumstances should the Federation initiate contact. Any perceived threat will likely accelerate their advancement." Counselor Mert of the Valerian Collective chirped with amusement. "The Elders have always been excessively cautious. These humans are barely achieving interplanetary travel within their own system. By the time they develop viable interstellar capabilities, centuries will have passed." "Your perception is precisely the danger," Zixus responded, his voice hardening. "We have analyzed their scientific progress. The gap between their theoretical understanding and practical application is narrowing exponentially. They will achieve reliable interstellar travel within 50 cycles, not centuries." The council chamber erupted in disbelieving murmurs. Such a leap was unprecedented in galactic history. "We've seen this pattern once before," Zixus continued when the noise subsided, "in the ancient times before recorded history. The results were catastrophic. The transmission began breaking up, whether from natural interference or deliberate degradation remained unclear. Study the data we've provided. Heed our warning. Humans cannot be." The hologram flickered and disappeared, leaving the council in uneasy silence. High Counselor Vexaran's crystalline form shimmered as she processed the information. "This matter requires careful consideration. I propose we establish a monitoring outpost in their system's outer boundary and—" "With all due respect, High Counselor," interrupted Mert, "the Elders have spent millennia in isolation. Their perception of emerging species is based on theoretical models, not practical experience. My collective has overseen the integration of 17 new species into the Federation. None posed any significant challenge. Councillor Thrix nodded in agreement. The elders speak of catastrophe from before recorded history, legends and myths, not scientific fact. I move that we classify this species as standard emergence protocol. Monitor from a distance, assess when they achieve interstellar capability, then initiate contact through standard procedures. The vote passed with only Vexerin and 2 others dissenting. The warning of the Meridian Elders was filed away. Its priority downgraded twice before being assigned to an automated monitoring system. The data packets containing the Elders' analysis of human psychology and potential were archived in the Federation's central database, accessible but forgotten as the Council moved on to more pressing matters. No one noticed the final fragment of Elder Zix's transmission, partially corrupted but still in the record, predicted to develop exponentially. If our calculations are correct, by the time you notice their advancement, it will already be too late. 3 Federation cycles later, equivalent to 22 Earth years, the automated monitoring system detected an energy signature from the edge of human space that should have been impossible for their level of technology. By then, the Council had all but forgotten the ancient warning. Commander Jax Lyran gazed through the viewport of the Federation science vessel Celestial Explorer as it emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. As the science officer of the hastily assembled observation mission, she was responsible for determining how humans had achieved what Federation scientists had classified as impossible, faster-than-light travel using only elements available in a single star system. Scanners active, gravitational disturbance detected 0.8 light minutes from our position, reported her Trilaxian navigator, appendages dancing across the holographic interface, consistent with the energy signature detected by the monitoring system. Jax adjusted her breathing apparatus, her skin shifting to a pale blue reflecting her scientific curiosity. Maintain distance. Passive observation only. The main display activated, showing a vessel unlike any in the Federation registry. It was relatively small, with smooth lines contrasting with angular propulsion systems at its rear. Most striking was the absence of external weapons or defensive systems common to most species' first interstellar vessels. "Is it a probe?" asked Captain Volan, his reptilian features betraying confusion. "Negative," replied the sensor technician. "Life signs detected. 7 distinct patterns, carbon-based, oxygen-breathing. The vessel has minimal shielding and what appears to be an experimental dry system." Jax's skin rippled with disbelief. "They've sent living crew members on an experimental faster-than-light vessel. The risk assessment profile doesn't align with any known species behavior." The sensor technician's report was interrupted by an alert. "Commander, we're detecting a transmission from the human vessel. They'd spotted us." "Impossible," Captain Volan hissed. "Our cloaking technology." "They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously," the communications officer reported. "One matches our standard protocols exactly. It's as if they guessed our communication frequency." Jax remembered fragments of the Elder's warning. When confronted with the impossible, they refused to accept it. "Put it through," she ordered. The view screen flickered, revealing a being Jax had only seen in the archive data. The human wore a simple blue uniform, its soft features arranged in what their database identified as a smile, a non-threatening expression. Its skin was a light brown, with a patch of dark fur on top of its head. "Greetings from Earth," the human said, its language already processed through the universal translator. "This is Captain Rice of the United Earth exploration vessel Pathfinder. We come in peace and friendship." Captain Volan stepped forward. "This is Captain Volan of the Galactic Federation vessel Celestial Explorer. How did you detect our presence? Our vessel is equipped with the most advanced cloaking technology in the quadrant." The human's expression shifted, brow ridges rising in a gesture of apparent surprise. Your cloaking technology generates a specific gravitational ripple when interfacing with the quantum field. It's subtle, but we've been searching for exactly such anomalies. We've theorized the existence of other intelligent life for centuries. Jax felt her skin darkening to a deep violet, the color of alarm among her species. These humans had not only developed faster than light travel, but had immediately created detection systems for cloaked vessels, something that had taken the Federation decades to perfect after developing interstellar capability. "Captain Reyes," Jax said, stepping into view, "your achievement is remarkable. May I ask how you developed faster-than-light technology?" The human's face formed another smile. "Of course. We'd be happy to share our research. In fact, we've brought comprehensive data on our scientific and cultural development. We hoped any species we encountered might be willing to exchange knowledge." Captain Volan signaled for the communication to be muted temporarily. "This is unprecedented. They've bypassed centuries of normal technological development." Jax nodded, her scientific mind racing. The Elder's warning. Perhaps it wasn't exaggerated after all. We need to report this immediately. As they prepared to reestablish communication, none of them noticed a small, sleek vessel observing from the shadow of a distant moon. The forward scout of the Vorax Empire, an aggressive expansionist power on the Federation's outer borders. Its commander watched the exchange with predatory interest, already calculating how this new species might be exploited. The humans had been discovered, but not by friends alone. The storm that would test the Elder's prophecy was gathering on the horizon. First contact. Captain Elena Reyes could barely contain her excitement as she led the first human delegation aboard the Federation vessel. After decades of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, humanity had finally made contact. The alien ship was a marvel of engineering, with corridors that seemed to adjust to the occupants' biology and lighting that shifted to accommodate different visual spectrums. "Your vessel is extraordinary," she told Commander Jax Lirin, the blue-skinned alien scientist who had been assigned as their liaison. "The material of your hull, it appears to be self-repairing." Jax Lirin's skin rippled with what the translation software suggested was surprise. "Yes, a standard feature on Federation vessels for the past 200 cycles. Your observational skills are impressive." Dr. Sanjay Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist, was carefully documenting everything with the compact scanner disguised as part of his uniform. "The biodiversity represented on this single vessel is remarkable," he whispered to Captain Reyes. "I've counted representatives from at least 7 distinct evolutionary pathways." The Federation delegation led them to a large chamber where Captain Volan waited with several other officers. The reptilian captain gestured to a semicircular table that adjusted its height as the humans approached. "We have many questions," Volan began, his translator converting the series of hisses and clicks into English. "Your technological advancement is unexpected." Elena nodded diplomatically. "We understand our development may seem accelerated compared to other species. Humanity has always been driven by curiosity and necessity. When resources became scarce on Earth, we looked to the stars. When conventional physics limited our reach, we sought unconventional solutions." Commander Jax Lirin's skin darkened slightly. "Your Alcubierre drive modification should have been impossible with your current understanding of quantum mechanics." Dr. Katsumi Nakamura, the engineering specialist on the human team, smiled. "Impossible is just a word for something we haven't figured out yet. When traditional approaches failed, we tried thousands of alternatives simultaneously through distributed computing networks. Millions of Earth citizens volunteered their personal computing resources to the project." The Federation officers exchanged glances that even the humans could recognize as concern. "You're saying your breakthrough came from collective effort?" asked a small insectoid being introduced as Science Officer Drell. "Of course," Elena replied. "The United Earth Science Consortium coordinates research across all nations, but anyone can contribute. Our greatest advances often come from unexpected sources: students, amateurs, even children asking questions that challenge established thinking. Captain Volan leaned forward. "And your weapons technology? Your defenses?" Alina's expression grew serious. "The Pathfinder is an exploration vessel, not a warship. We carry minimal defensive capabilities, just enough to deflect micrometeorites and cosmic radiation. Earth unified under a single government after our last global conflict. We've directed our resources toward exploration and advancement, not warfare." The tension in the room seemed to ease slightly, though Alina noticed Jaxlirin making notes in what appeared to be a personal log. "We've brought gifts," Alina continued, gesturing to Dr. Patel, who opened a case containing data crystals. "Our complete history, scientific achievements, cultural expressions, music, art, literature. We hope this will be the beginning of a productive exchange between our civilizations." As the formal meeting concluded and the delegates broke into smaller discussion groups, Alina found herself beside Commander Jaxlirin. "Your people seem concerned by our rapid advancement," she observed quietly. "Have you encountered this situation before?" Jax's skin shifted through several colors before settling on a neutral blue. "No, your species is unique in our experience. There was a warning, long ago, from the Meridian Elders, beings who study galactic patterns. They suggested what happened next would be debated in Federation scientific circles for decades. The Pathfinder seemed to blur, its drive systems creating localized distortions in space-time that confused the Vorax targeting systems. When their first salvos fired, the energy beams curved around the human vessel, missing entirely. "Gravitational lensing," whispered Jaxlirin in awe. "You're bending space to redirect their weapons. A proof of concept we developed for radiation shielding," Alina explained, her focus unwavering. "Matthews, deploy the quantum field disruptors." The human vessel released several small, innocuous-looking probes that raced toward the Vorax ships. When they detonated, they released no explosive force. Instead, they created fields that temporarily disrupted the Vorax ship's energy distribution systems. "Impossible," Jax murmured, her scientific mind struggling to process the implications. "You've weaponized quantum uncertainty principles." Alina's expression remained grim. "Not weaponized. Adapted. There's a difference." She turned to her communications officer. "Chen, status on Earth." "Defense Command acknowledges. The solar shield is activating. They're requesting we lead the Vorax vessels into Grid Sector 7. Alina nodded. "Tell them we're on our way. Nakamura, prepare for emergency translation." As the Pathfinder accelerated toward Earth, the temporarily stunned Vorax vessels recovered and gave chase, exactly as Alina had predicted. Commander Jaxlirin felt her scientific detachment giving way to a feeling her species rarely experienced, awe mixed with fear. The Meridian Elder's warning echoed in her mind. When faced with catastrophe, most species retreat. Humans advance. She was witnessing that truth firsthand, and suspected the galaxy was about to learn just how prophetic those ancient words had been. The ultimatum. Supreme Commander Drex of the Vorax Empire washed with growing rage as the primitive human vessel continued to evade his fleet's most sophisticated targeting systems. It was impossible. A species barely achieving interstellar capability should not be able to outmaneuver warships that had conquered 3 solar systems in the past cycle. "Lock tractor beams and pull that insect from space," he roared, his clawed hand smashing into the arm of his command chair. "Commander," his first officer reported hesitantly, "their drive signature is creating localized gravity wells that disperse our tractor beam energy. We cannot establish a lock." Drex's inner eyelids flickered with fury, "Then pursue them back to their homeworld. We will make an example of these humans that the galaxy will remember for generations." The 3 Vorax warships followed the fleeing Pathfinder deeper into the Sol system, past the gas giants and asteroid belt, closing rapidly on the inner planets. As they approached Earth orbit, sensors detected multiple artificial satellites and a modest orbital defense grid. nothing that would concern a modern battle fleet. Prepare orbital bombardment, Drex ordered, mandibles clicking with anticipation. Target their largest population centers first. Aboard the Pathfinder, Captain Alina Reyes maintained her composure despite the overwhelming odds. Chen, is Earth Defense Command ready? Affirmative, Captain. All civilian vessels have been cleared from Grid Sector 7. The Solar Shield satellites are powered and awaiting your signal. Commander Jaxeleran, observing from a position near the science station, looked confused. Solar Shield, your orbital defenses appeared minimal in our scans. Alina's expression remained focused on the tactical display. What you detected were our conventional satellites. The Solar Shield is something else. She turned to her engineer, Dr. Nakamura. Status of the quantum link. Synchronized and stable, Captain. All 53 nodes reporting ready. 53 nodes, Jax questioned. But our scans only detected 27 defense platforms. Dr. Nakamura allowed herself a small smile. The other 26 are on the far side of the sun. Before Jax could process this information, Alina gave the command. Activate the Solar Shield. Initiate Protocol Archimedes. Across Earth's orbital space, seemingly mundane satellites pivoted, revealing highly polished mirror arrays. Simultaneously, the hidden satellites on the far side of the sun adjusted their positions with precise coordination. What are you doing? Jax asked, scientific curiosity overriding her alarm. Demonstrating why humans have always regarded the sun with reverence, Alina replied as the tactical display showed the Vorax ships entering the optimal position. In a masterpiece of astronomical engineering, the 53 satellites created a complex network of reflected and amplified solar energy, focusing it into 3 precise points in space, directly in the path of the oncoming Vorax warships. The result was spectacular and terrifying. Beams of concentrated solar energy, hundreds of times more powerful than the raw sunlight that created them, struck the Vorax vessels. Their shields, designed to repel energy weapons and kinetic projectiles, were not calibrated to defend against such an astronomical scale of thermal energy. Shields failing. Came the panicked report on Drex's bridge as external hull temperatures rose beyond safety parameters. Engineering reports coolant systems overloading. Impossible, Drex snarled. Reverse course. Get us out of this death trap. As the Vorax ships desperately attempted to retreat, the Solar Shield adjusted, maintaining its deadly focus. One of the smaller vessels lost shield integrity entirely, its hull glowing red before emergency systems jettisoned the command module, saving the crew but abandoning the ship. On the Pathfinder's bridge, Alina watched the display with solemn determination. They're retreating. Signal Earth defense to release the Solar Shield focus but maintain tracking. As the deadly solar beams dispersed, the damaged Vorax ships limped away from Earth orbit, their hulls still radiating extreme heat. Open a channel to Commander Drex, Alina ordered. The Vorax commander's face appeared on screen, his scales darkened with rage and humiliation. This treachery will not stand, human. You concealed your true military capabilities. We concealed nothing, Alina replied calmly. We used the natural resources available to us, just as humanity has always done. The sun gives life to our world. Today it defended that life. You've made an enemy of the Vorax Empire, Drex hissed. Our full battle fleet will return, and your clever tricks won't save you then. Commander Jaxeleran stepped forward. The Galactic Federation will have something to say about that. Commander Drex, your unprovoked aggression against a newly emerging species violates multiple Federation accords. Drex's eyes narrowed. The Federation has no authority in unclaimed space, scientist, and your observation vessel poses no threat to my ships, even in their current condition. Perhaps not, Alina interjected, but now that we know of your intentions, Earth will be prepared. Our solar shield was constructed primarily for asteroid deflection, a simple adaptation of existing technology. Imagine what we might develop when we specifically designed for defense. The implied threat wasn't lost on Drex, but his pride would not allow retreat without a final demonstration of power. You have 20 of your planetary rotations to surrender your system to the Vorax Empire. After that, we return with a force that will darken your skies. No mirrors or solar tricks will save you then. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the bridge of the Pathfinder in momentary silence. 20 days, Alina murmured, already calculating. Not much time, but it will have to be enough. Jack's Lyran's skin had shifted to a troubled gray. Captain Rice, you must understand the threat you're facing. The Vorax battle fleet includes planetary bombardment vessels capable of rendering a world's surface uninhabitable within hours. Then we'll need to prevent them from getting close enough to deploy those weapons, Alina replied with surprising confidence. Commander Jax, we'd like to formally request Federation assistance, not military intervention, but technical advisors and observers who can provide context on Vorax tactics and vulnerabilities. I'll communicate your request, Jax promised, but Federation protocols for newly contacted species limit the technology we can share. Dr. Nakamura smiled. With respect, Commander, we're not asking you to share technology. We're asking you to share information. What we do with that information will be entirely our innovation. Jax felt a growing unease. The Elder's warning about human adaptability was proving more accurate than anyone could have imagined. In just a brief exchange, these humans had demonstrated technology that combined principles in ways Federation scientists had never considered, not because the concepts were beyond their understanding, but because the combination seemed impractical or unnecessarily complex. Yet the humans had made them work. Over the next 17 days, Earth underwent a transformation that astonished the Federation observers who had arrived to document the crisis. Global manufacturing shifted almost entirely to defense production. The quantum communication network that had previously linked scientific institutions now coordinated a planet-wide engineering effort. Most remarkable to the Federation scientists was the human approach to problem-solving. Rather than relying solely on established experts, Earth governments opened secure channels where citizens could submit defense proposals. Ideas deemed promising were rapidly prototyped and tested by teams that worked in continuous shifts. Your society functions differently in crisis than ours would, Jax Lyran observed to Alina, as they toured a facility where civilian space vessels were being retrofitted with modified engines. Our species tend to become more hierarchical under threat, concentrating decision-making among fewer individuals. Humanity learned long ago that survival often depends on unexpected solutions, Alina explained. Some of our greatest advances came during our darkest moments. The more perspectives we include, the more likely we are to find approaches our enemies haven't considered. And your people willingly contribute, without coercion. Jax had observed no signs of the martial law or forced labor that many species implemented during existential threats. They contribute because they understand what's at stake, Alina replied. Freedom means little if we don't survive to enjoy it. As the deadline approached, a defensive network unlike anything in Federation records took shape around Earth and throughout the Sol system. Thousands of small automated drones were positioned in strategic locations. Civilian ships were equipped with modified versions of the Pathfinder's gravitational disruption technology. The solar shield was expanded and reinforced. Most concerning to the Federation observers was a project designated Quantum Mirror, a technology that the humans refused to fully explain, but which involved principles of quantum entanglement applied on a scale Federation scientists had deemed theoretically impossible. On the 19th day, long-range sensors detected the Vorax battle fleet entering the outer Sol system. 15 warships, including 2 planetary bombardment vessels, just as Commander Jax had warned. The Federation science vessel, now joined by a diplomatic cruiser carrying Federation observers, maintained position near Earth as humanity prepared for a confrontation that would determine their future in the galaxy. Supreme Commander Drex, his flagship repaired and his pride demanding vengeance, transmitted his ultimatum to Earth as soon as the fleet entered communications range. Humans of Earth, his harsh voice echoed across emergency broadcasts worldwide. Your defiance ends today. Surrender your world to the Vorax Empire, and you may survive as a subject species. Resist, and we will reduce your cities to ash. The response came not from a military leader or world government, but from a unified broadcast featuring representatives from every human nation standing together. The people of Earth reject your ultimatum, they stated in a chorus of languages simultaneously translated. We have always determined our own destiny, and today is no exception. We offer one chance for peaceful resolution. Withdraw your forces and recognize Earth's sovereignty. This is our only offer. Aboard his flagship, Drex laughed, the sound like grinding metal. Prepare all weapons. Target their largest population centers first. Let us teach these primitives the cost of defiance. As the Vorax fleet advanced toward Earth, Commander Jax Lyran stood on the bridge of the Federation diplomatic vessel, watching with scientific detachment tinged with growing concern. The humans had shown remarkable ingenuity, but the approaching armada represented overwhelming force by any rational assessment. The Elder's warning, she murmured to the Federation ambassador beside her. We should have heeded it sooner, not out of fear of humans, but to understand them before a moment like this arrived. The ambassador, a towering crystalline being named Vox Terra, shifted thoughtfully. Perhaps this is the test that will determine whether the Elder's prophecy was wisdom or paranoia. Either way, the galaxy changes today. As the Vorax fleet crossed the orbit of Mars, humanity's response began, and with it, a demonstration that would confirm the ancient warning in ways no one could have predicted. Paradigm shift. Supreme Commander Drex surveyed the tactical display with growing irritation. The human defenses appeared haphazard at best, scattered drones and modified civilian vessels that posed no serious threat to his battle fleet. Only their solar shield showed genuine ingenuity, but his vessels now carried enhanced thermal dissipation systems specifically designed to counter it. Pitiful, he growled to his officers. They've had 20 days to prepare, and this is their response. Begin the advance. Maintain tight formation until we breach their outer defensive line. The 15 Vorax warships moved forward in perfect synchronization, their hulls gleaming with malice as they approached Earth's scattered defensive array. Long-range scanners detected no significant energy buildups or weapons locks. It appeared the humans might be attempting to bluff their way out of annihilation. Commander reported his sensor officer suddenly, detecting unusual activity from the human drones. They appear to be combining. Drex leaned forward, his predatory instincts suddenly alert. Throughout the defensive field, the thousands of small drones were rapidly assembling into larger structures, linking together like modular components. Within minutes, what had appeared to be a disorganized swarm had transformed into a coordinated defense grid of much larger units. Clever, Drex admitted reluctantly, but ultimately futile. Their combined drones still lack the firepower to penetrate our shields. Continue the advance. As the Vorax fleet crossed the threshold into the drone field, the human defense system revealed its true nature. The drone clusters began generating overlapping gravitational fields, similar to the technology that had protected the Pathfinder, but on a much larger scale. The fabric of space around the Vorax ships began to distort, causing targeting systems to falter and engines to strain against unexpected resistance. "What is this?" demanded Drex as his flagship shuddered, struggling to maintain course. "Some primitive attempt at a tractor beam." "Not exactly, Commander," his science officer replied, anxiety evident in his voice. "They're creating localized space-time distortions, thousands of them, precisely calibrated to interfere with our navigation and weapons alignment. It's like flying through a field of gravitational eddies." Drex snarled in frustration. "Divert power to forward through."